Sure. I'm Dan Foreman, lived in Idaho for almost 22 years. I'm running for the Idaho District 6 Senate seat. Well, I'm not a politician. I'm a Christian conservative Republican. And quite frankly, I don't like the way things are going in the Senate or for the House either, really. For that matter, the House is better off. They do have their liberty legislators, but the Senate's pretty dismal. It's made up of rhinos and liberals who managed to kill just about every good bill that comes from the House of Representatives. So I have some things that I will accomplish when I get into the Senate. Like I said, I'm a Christian conservative Republican. I'm not a rhino. I'm not a liberal, and I'm not a politician. I'm simply somebody who has a moral compass and has acquired over the years the right job skills to get the job done. And I have enough of a backbone to go in and stand up against the establishment and the leadership, so-called leadership in the Senate, and bring back a respect for the state and federal constitution in the Senate. Well, I have 40 years of public service. I'm a retired Air Force colonel of 30 years service, a combat vet. I'm a retired Idaho law enforcement officer. I'm a former Idaho State Senator for District 5, which is currently the district I live in. I'm a former business owner. So I have 44 years of experience at government at all three levels, local, state, and federal. Also, I have the people skills required. I know how to work with people by taking a firm stance and still listening to people, but being able to stick to my agenda of enforcing the Constitution and doing what's right for Idaho. It's one thing to listen, but it's another thing to stick to your guns when you have to. And that's what's required to get things done. I'm a trained leader. I've been formally trained in how to lead people to accomplish goals and objectives. I'm good at that, and I'm not afraid to do that. And I think that's what we need in the Senate right now. Number one issue is the fact that every year we murder between 1,400 and 1,600 innocent babies, unborn babies, human beings that have apparently nobody there to speak up for them. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words are in the US Constitution. They're in the Declaration of Independence. In the very first sentence, in the very first paragraph of the Idaho State Constitution talks about life and liberty. So how can we spend our time talking about fixing the roads and agriculture and business, all of which are important, when we're turning our backs on these murders that occur in the great state of Idaho? It's an abomination and it has to stop. You know, Idaho code calls abortion murder, but there's an affirmative defense offered in Title 18 of the code that says if you follow the state's guidelines, you won't be prosecuted for the murder. I will introduce legislation once again to eliminate that affirmative defense. Now, the great state of Oklahoma, apparently they have some warriors in their legislature, unlike the wimps we have in ours, and they passed a bill that outlawed abortions except to save the life of the mother. That bill should have been in the great state of Idaho instead of the great state of Oklahoma. Texas has passed good legislation, so has Florida. So the country's starting to wake up. Idaho has passed their 6-week bill, which is a step in the right direction, but it's not enough. We need to outlaw abortions except to save the life of the mother. Idaho's better than what we're currently doing along those lines. So that's priority one for me. The federal government has a very limited role in terms of its interactions with, well, let me back up. I should say they should have a very limited role. they've got their fingers into just about every aspect of human endeavor right now, and that has to stop. The founding fathers warned us about that. They're supposed to provide for the national defense, regulate interstate commerce, provide a system of federal courts. And there's some other things that they righteously should do. What they're not supposed to do is interfere in states' rights. Right now, the federal government provides almost half of Idaho state budget, and there's strings that come with that. They own the state of Idaho, and believe me, they tell us how to behave in most arenas of government, and that has to stop. We have to say no to the money, because contrary to what the legislature and the governor says, it's not free money. It comes with strings. And besides that, it's borrowed money. The federal government's in deep financial trouble. They're broke to the tune of trillions of dollars, yet they keep passing all this money out to the states. The COVID relief is a good example, which triggered the inflation that we're now suffering under. So they have a very limited role. You know, the Constitution says the rights that aren't specifically listed for the federal government all belong to the people in the states. And it's time for Idaho and the other states to wake up before they lose their rights and lose their sovereignty. We need to reclaim our states' rights. So limited role for the feds. The people have the majority role, the major role, and that we have to return to that. Yeah, sure. When I get back into the Senate, my pro-life legislation will be priority one. Priority two is I'm going to call for an investigation into the state of Idaho's reaction to the pandemic. Again, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. There's no emergency clause in the Bill of Rights. Our state government, particularly our governor, closed our businesses because apparently some of us were not essential. They closed our schools. They closed our houses of worship. They put pressure on people, and indeed, some people were arrested in Idaho for lawfully assembling because they were standing too close to each other. These are gross violations of the Bill of Rights. And if we as citizens allow government to get away with this because it's an emergency, they'll do it again. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And after what just happened over the last 2 years, I'm going to call for an investigation, and most likely I'll go to the state attorney general. Now, there are two good men running for that office. Mr. Wasden's going to be out, I hope. And we're going to get a good man in there, and I'm going to be in that office, and I'm going to be pushing for an investigation. And it's my hope that the attorneys general of the United States across all the states come together, organize, and conduct a Nuremberg-style investigation into these horrible violations of our constitutional rights. Now, a lot of people say, Senator, we just need to go forward, move forward. Well, sure, move forward, but how can you move forward on a lie? We must, before we can go forward, we must look backwards and get to the bottom of who did what, why, and if they violated our constitutional rights, we need to hold them accountable. That's essential to Idaho's future. If we skip that step and try to move forward, we will revisit these horrible atrocities, these violations of the Constitution will come back to haunt us. So that's my second objective. My third objective is I will work for and support a vote to eliminate the sales tax on groceries. We have a budget surplus. We're one of the few states in the country that taxes groceries, and we tax it at the full 6% rate. That hurts our merchants, and it hurts lower income people here in Idaho, and there's no reason for it. When I was last in the Senate, we sent a bill to end that tax to the governor, and he vetoed it. And this just highlights why we need to get the rhinos and the liberals, the wishy-washy wimps out of our state legislature. With a strong legislature, we have the 2/3 veto override capability. And we can use that to do good things for Idaho, even if we have a radical governor in office. So those are the three things at the top of my list. Also, farther down on my list is I want to introduce legislation to ban sanctuary cities in Idaho and sanctuary schools. I want the bills to provide penalties for cities and schools that don't cooperate with federal immigration law enforcement officers. If you want to come into America, that's fine. Immigration's the lifeblood of this country, but you have to do it legally. And if you come to Idaho and you're in violation of immigration laws, our schools and our cities should cooperate with law enforcement to get these people out of Idaho. I've received awards from the Idaho Freedom Foundation and from the American Conservative Union when I was in the Senate for conservative excellence. I have a track record. People can look at my voting record, look at my scores. I keep my promises. Not everybody likes what I have to say, and that's fine, but nobody can say that I break my promises. If I promise a citizen I will do something in office, I will try my hardest to get that done. And I've been able to live up to that in my 44 years of service, public service. I never ask a citizen for a penny, and I never ask a person for his or her vote. Votes are sacred. They belong to each individual. But what I do ask is for people to listen to me, listen to what I'm saying. If it resonates with them, together we can go to the next step and try to bring government back under control in Idaho, which means conforming to the state and federal constitution. We're losing our rights, we're losing our state, we're losing our country. The insanity that's taking place in America has to stop. And the reason it's been creeping its way into American government is because we have, I hate to say it, even though they're accomplished people, spineless legislators that are only worried about getting reelected instead of standing up and doing the right thing. They know what to do, but they're reluctant to do it because they're not statesmen, they're politicians. And the difference is a politician will promise you whatever you want to hear. A statesman will deliver on the promises. Well, I'm a statesman and I will deliver.